Hey guys, this is Anand with some Tiger 2 gameplay to share today. On Falls Creek here to start against some fellow store members on the other side and in a low tier game, so should be an interesting battle. The Tiger 2's tank that was one of my first lines actually, so I noobed it up pretty heavily and bought it back not that long ago to kind of rehab the stats on it, and ended up kind of falling in love with it again because it is just a really nice, true heavy tank. There's a lot of heavies that kind of struggle with armor situations or other things, but the Tiger 2 really does have some fantastic armor and really shines in kind of a side-scraping situation. So right off the bat here, I start to go into town, which is what I pretty much always want to do, but I'm watching my entire team go bridge. So instead of being kind of pig-headed about it and doing my own thing, I decide to go ahead and go bridge, pretty much with the idea that I'm going to roll straight over it, because knowing the store members on the other side and knowing they know what to do, and just the makeup of that team, I assume everybody's going to go to the base area. And no shock as I roll over the bridge, that's what's happening. So it's okay. I mean, we're a little bit spread out. This is not my first choice, but it pretty much lets me know that I'm going to be able to work some of these ridge lines here on this side in a non-traditional heavy roll and start to snipe kind of first, especially because I can tell by the clock that they're trying to get a little bit of a speed cap going on. So we can start to see some stuff get spotted, and lets us just kind of work that. I don't like hanging back this far on this map, but like I said, sometimes you just have to roll with the battles and stay flexible. If you're rigid in your game plan to a fault, then you're going to run into trouble. So I'm really just looking for shots. Being on this side of the map, I know there's great avenues to shoot into the cap circle, so I'm not going to over panic until that clock gets up fairly high. So just going to take the shots that red gives me and not worry about it too much. The Tiger 2 gets low, so I'm willing to kind of roll forward to get that. Plus, you know, I can see now where everybody is at on the minimap, and they're staying mostly in the cap circle and on the far side, so I have to push forward a little bit. I still don't want to go charging in because I'm still a low tier tank, but I can kind of reposition here and still use good cover to be able to snipe into that circle. It's the problem if you overcommit to capping in a situation like this. I mean, you're still going to end up in the open. So you know, you have to be really careful with that. If you're going for a cap and the team they think this is over pretty quick, and you see the red team start to work your way in, you're going to have to abandon that cap situation and fight straight up, because otherwise we're just going to start to pick you apart in a sniping situation, which is what I'm doing. Luckily, I'm getting some good RNG here too, that, you know, this isn't a traditional sniping tank, but I'm hitting pretty much every shot, which is good. Keeping an eye on that cap number, seeing it start to get high, so now I'm going to start to focus a little bit more on tanks that I think might reset that number, although the Tiger 2 is low, so I'm able to do that. Plus our team gets one in there, and that's plenty of reset now to work with. But you can also see that most of our team is starting to get low on health because they pushed up maybe a little bit too hard, but it was also keeping the pressure on them, which is good too. That object is starting to give me some side shots so I can work it in. Luckily, they're staying pretty focused on the tanks that are pushed in and not necessarily on me so much, so I'm able to kind of get these sneak shots in. Need to whittle them down as much as we can before charging in too hard, because we do have some hit point situations going on in our team. Some really nice little sniper rounds in here too. I know this isn't a traditional way to play a heavy and a traditional heavy round, but I liked it nonetheless, just because, you know, the meta on this map is so much to go town, and if you're in a situation where your team just isn't going to allow that to happen, it's a good example of kind of working around that situation and kind of giving some examples of that. So that's why I went ahead and shared it anyway. And now at this point, it's about biding your time and picking the right times to push in. So now we're in a 2 versus 2. which is a little bit trickier. I was going for the track there, but just missed it. And luckily he turns. I think because I had more hit points, I'm not the one he really wanted to focus on. But now it's obviously the time to really start pushing in and go for the win and mop up the last few. That 704 can surely change the game in one shot, so you don't want to mess around with that a whole lot. I'm just trying to kind of bait him to commit to one side, which he does. And see my Tiger 2 just fully defensive at this point. I have the hit points to finish it off, so I can kind of charge in. So, like I was saying, not necessarily a traditional heavy round, but shows good flexibility to kind of go with the hand that's been dealt. Good opponents on the other side. No one played it particularly badly. They just let themselves be a little too exposed in the cap circle, and we took advantage of that, which is, is always nice to do when you can. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to a slightly older game that I never got around to posting, but worked with this video because it shows the Tiger 2 in a more traditional heavy role, which obviously I wanted to show as well. I'm on Castilla, platooned with Matt Karp, who is another Storm member, and we're just going to go ahead and roll up here and set up into fairly traditional heavy positions. I am not really a big fan of going up on top of the mill anymore, except in a spotting situation, so I'm not going to do that here to start. We get an IS-3 that looks like he's lagging a bit, which is fantastic, but also this Jagdpanther 2 to my left, who sets up in pretty much the worst position you can, because that is just going to get you wrecked if anything is over there, and sure enough, he's lost about 60% of his hit points and just shot once, so not necessarily a position you want to start in. And instead, I'm just going to use my armor, and I keep it at a nice angle here, because if I'm poking my front out, I'm a little exposed potentially to the right side, although it's not a large cross-section, and anything that's shooting from directly across is got my armor at a pretty extreme angle, and is going to be very difficult to pen me. So it lets me just start to work away at these heavies that have overexposed themselves, which is always your first target on this map. If they're going to run forward into this kind of open space where my reticle is now and not go up onto the mill itself, it lets you just start to whittle away with them on this side. And we're letting it kind of slow play a bit, but I'm keeping an eye on the map. I can see that our flankers have run into their flankers, and they've already lost one. They're probably going to lose that battle over there, so we have to kind of keep in mind and work as quickly as we can without taking unnecessary risks, because we know their flankers are probably going to be coming. So that's just something you have to keep in mind when you see that happening on the map. Going for the T-28 Proto there, but switch to the IS-3 because it's the safer shot. IS-3 rolls out, and I'm just able to work my way back in to, like I said, just give a really small area that he then misses. I get some RNG in there, but it's okay because I haven't taken damage. And now I can see on that map that we're down to one flanker versus 3. He's obviously not going to win, so they're going to be coming. Their IS-6 is running, so we assume he's probably going to town, which means the only other tanks left over there are the T-28 Prototype and the IS-3. We have a tank advantage, and the flank is coming, so we're going to have to start pushing. Just trying to get the spot on the Prototype first, because he is the largest gun. Trying to sneak one into his weak spots there and unfortunately miss, but I can see he's looking up, so that means I can push forward a bit and help my teammates out and go ahead and get rid of him. And now we want to fully push the IS-3. We don't know exactly which angle the flankers are going to be coming from, but based on where they were, I think they're going to come directly behind us and go the longest route. So we need to push all the way forward and force this IS-3 to either die or relocate, because we need his positioning to be able to turn the map around and handle the flanker. So that's exactly what we're doing, pushing hard. Telling my platoon mate to not overcommit because I'm coming up on the backside, which is exactly what we need. He sees me coming, so I can sneak, one shot in here if I remember. Yep, sneak one shot in, and it kind of propels him to run around, which is fine. We'll let him escape right now if we need to, because it accomplished our goal of repositioning where we need to and getting in a more defensive position, because we're down by 2 tanks. Yes, they have a few at low health, but numbers matter because I'm the only one left on the green side that has a lot of health. And see, they're pushing on the backside, which is fantastic. This is where the Tiger 2 can really shine, so that's why I want to set up to kind of deal with it. A little bit more bad RNG, but it's okay because now I'm really defensive. It lets me roll back and pretty much get an auto bounce angle because those Russian heavies aren't going to be able to get their gun down enough in this position to hit my lower plate. This IS-3 confuses me a bit because he's sitting in a weird spot. I know I can't get his gun down. I'm not trying to block him, but he just ended up in a weird spot, so it kind of forced me to block him a little bit. That was just unfortunate. But on the flip side, he died in a gorgeous position. His sacrifice is noted because it gives me cover basically on the only part of my tank that was weak, so now I can roll back, stay completely protected, let them overexpose themselves, and roll out to kind of kill them one at a time, which is exactly what I needed. I still have plenty of hit points, especially in this situation. There's a Fury rolling around somewhere, and we didn't know how much health he had left, so get the nice kill on the IS-6. I'm willing to trade a shot to do that, and Fury shows up, and he's going to be an easy kill, which is great, so I don't waste the credits to necessarily repair those tracks. But a nice comeback from a tough situation, especially when your flankers die, and that's part of why I liked this game too, even though it was a little bit older. You gotta have the awareness to keep an eye on that map. You know if your flank is coming, and you know where they're coming to. If you can switch your location to turn the front towards them, the mediums are going to have a much harder time with a heavy, and that's just good heavy driving in general. So hopefully this helped a little bit with the Tiger 2. Just some odd ideas, I think, in this video, but hopefully you enjoy nonetheless.